Good afternoon and welcome to Rockstar Launcher. This is our podcast about the intersection of business and law and everything in between and outside. And we just talk about pretty much the starting points for the businesses, how they grew, and we just learn about our guests as much as possible so that you can learn from them as well. I'm joined today by my co-host, Wei Zhang. I'm Susie Fulton, technology lawyer. We're co-founders of a women-owned 30-attorney law firm that's full service. And I'll let Wei introduce you to our rockstar guest.
Hi, thank you, Susie. Hi, everyone. We are so fortunate to have our guest today, Lisa Ong. We were just trying to figure out how long ago we started working together, but Lisa is the owner and coach under the trademark Wishing Out Loud, Wishing Out Loud LLC. She's a professional certified coach, and she speaks on many topics, including diversity, inclusion, and equity, and also inspirational professional coaching, career coaching, and finding your talents and your career path. So we're so happy to have you today.
Well, thank you. I wouldn't be here today if it hadn't been for that connection of helping me launch my business.
So we figured out that we first met at the Diversity Connection Consortium. It's a loosely structured group of DEI professionals. And we met, and then we didn't know that we actually had connection elsewhere. So that was a fun connection that we made.
That's funny. Yeah. We were talking about that yesterday about, where we met you, and I couldn't remember. I didn't know if it was through Wei or somewhere else. I mean, because you are out and about. We see Lisa
everywhere.
She is everywhere. I mean, everywhere.
I got you all fooled.
She's another one of these people that we all have 24 hours in the day, and for me, it feels like Lisa has like 36 or 48.
Figured out how to clone herself.
Yeah, that might be it. Well, there's AI everywhere, so there may be little AI Lisas running around. So tell us about, the early days and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, it's a very different career path, right? I'm actually a trained certified public accountant. So
I was going to ask you.
They're
about
like,
that
what?
As well.
You're too extroverted to be an accountant.
And I'm actually an introvert that is converted over. I know how to turn it on when I need to.
You're one of those Wei.
Ambivert.
Yeah. She gave me a Diet Coke before we came on here, so I could turn it on for a little.
Introvert, extrovert, or extrovert, introvert.
Exactly. She tried to tell me that she was, and this is, I've known her for like 3 decades, right? And so she tried to tell me at one point that she was an introvert. And I was like, and this was 20 years in or something, and I'm like,
no. They say a high percentage of entrepreneurs are introverts, right? Wow. It's just how we choose to show up. Mm-hmm. So when people ask me to go to happy hour, it's like, it's only going to be an hour, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's very strategic, right?
We
reserve it for,
turn it on when we need
energy for a specific, occasion.
Well, when you show up, you seem like an extrovert. So I guess
that's a good thing.
It's all about connection.
Yes.
For me, it's all about showing up.
Has connections and spades. Tell us about the journey. How did you decide?
So I started as a CPA. I love numbers. I love solving problems, solutions, like policies, procedures, everything organized, right? And the public accounting career path is very structured, similar to law, right? You put your head down, you work, you're associate, you work your way all the way up to partner. So that's what I did. Put my head down, went to work, and all of a sudden I'm a senior manager.
And this was at PwC?
At PwC.
Okay.
And PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the partners tapped me and they're like, okay, we're going to start putting you on partner track. I was like, oh, I wasn't thinking about partner track. I just love what I do. And I love serving clients. I love working with teams. I'm like, I don't know if I want to be a partner. Right. And that was a huge career point.
How far into your career were you?
That was 15 years in.
15 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Someone's like, most people are up or out. So they're like, well, what do you mean you don't want to be a partner? I said, the part of the job I love the most is actually working with my teams and developing the talent. And I actually tried to quit PricewaterhouseCoopers when I was a senior manager after my daughter turned 2 years old,
Okay.
because I was assigned to an initial public offering of a small Asian-owned bank in Houston, which was requiring me to fly back and forth from Dallas every week to Houston. And my husband is an auditor too, so he was traveling out of town all the time.
Why?
So it's like there's weeks where no one's there to watch my daughter,
Goodness.
right? So I would take her with me on the plane with the stroller, with the audit bag, I mean, those computers were heavy back then. They were not skinny laptops. And I would go to Houston and my mom would meet me at the rental car counter. I was like,
wow.
here's the stroller with the baby and the diaper bag. I'm running to get the rental car to go to the client. And I said, this isn't sustainable.
Right.
Especially after she turned 2, she wasn't flying for free and she certainly wasn't sitting on my lap still for the flights. So I went to the partners and I said, I need to quit. And they're like, do you have a job lined up? I'm like, no. They're like, why do you have to quit? I said, I need a job that doesn't require so much travel. And wisely, the managing partner, Ed, said to me, what if I moved you into HR? They don't travel. And I was like, I'm a CPA. I'm an auditor. What makes you think I could do HR? And he said, well, Lisa, every year, every senior manager gets assigned 5 new associates to coach and mentor. He's like, every year they get another 5 because they all quit, right? He said, you have about 20. Like none of yours are quitting. So you must be doing something right.
Wow.
Okay.
And I was like, whoa. I benefited from having mentors and sponsors who saw strengths in me that I didn't even know I had. And he said, you're smart enough to figure this out. And he handed me like big binders to study for my senior professional HR exam. He's like, give this a year. He actually tore up my engagement letter back then, like thank goodness I saved it in Word, because I was like, you can do that? He goes, you don't have a job lined up. Try HR for a year. If you don't like it, you can quit then.
Okay. Now, so your mentors, were they both inside with PwC and on the outside? At this point, were you
I was very much
building your
just
networks,
PwC.
or were you, okay,
Yeah, I was
you weren't
very-
out and about as much as
Was
you are.
not out and about.
Okay,
Because I was a mom. I was like barely holding it together.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
and showing up at work, right? And so I was very lucky that he said that, but I didn't know at the time that he actually had experience managing a lot of women rising leaders. His department was known as one of the most diverse departments in terms of retention and advancement of women, and he was known for promoting the most women partners in the firm. And he gave really great advice. When I came back, he said, so let's sit down and review your client schedule. And you're all about chargeable hours. And I'm showing him, and I got my spreadsheet, and I'm hard charging just like I was before the pregnancy. And he said, you're missing one of the largest clients. He goes, your daughter.
Oh.
Right? He goes, you got to show me your calendar, and that shows your priorities. And if you tell me your daughter is your priority, then I need to see that you're leaving on time.
That's amazing.
To pick her up, and that you're taking care of yourself, not showing up exhausted because you're not taking care of yourself. I was like, wow.
Amazing.
Right? As a first generation person that's the first in their family to go to college 4 years, first to navigate into a corporate setting where there's very few other Asian women role models. And as a new mom, I was like, what a blessing.
Yeah.
And kind of strange that it was a gentleman mentor sponsor who just happened to have mentored a lot of women leaders to say, you need to manage, Lisa, I know you can manage your clients well, you need to make sure your daughter is your number 1 client.
Oh, that's amazing. That's incredible. So
that's how I got into HR. He put me in HR.
I totally did not know that
Yeah.
you had a time in HR.
So basically, I got to work with the same people, but on the other side.
okay.
I'll tell you, if you switch to HR from client service, that's kind of rough. Like nobody wants to talk to you anymore because you're HR.
How long were you in HR before you went off?
Well, the part of HR that I was in was called resource management. So I still got to use my CPA skills. It was all around forecasting, chargeable hours, utilization, client assignments, right? But then I started moving into the performance management side.
Oh, boy.
Right? So how do we identify high potentials? How do we make sure we're taking care of them and keeping them? Right? And how are we unleashing our bench strength? Especially in these types of firms, the senior associates tend to drop after 3 to 5 years.
Right.
I think most companies now, they're lucky if they get 2 years, 2-3
That's
years
probably
before
similar
turnover.
to law, right?
But if you can convert a 5-year associate, a 6-year associate into a manager, that's when you really get the traction. So I like to say I'm a talent gardener. I think that's my specialty, is to spot diamonds in the rough and help work with them to unleash that power and strength. And so now with
And
my
you're
company,
doing that
that's what I do
now.
with my company is I just talent gardener all day. Like I have
I
that
want you
spidey
to
sense.
trademark that.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, because I can't go to a networking event and say, "Hi, I'm a diversity director." People are like diversity, or consultant. If you say consultant, they're like going to run, right? And then if you say you're a CPA, they
We'll
go,
talk
"Will you do
about
my
that.
taxes?" I'm like, "No, I'm an auditor." not a
Yeah,
tax
well, you know what? That's a great. We're going to hit on that as well.
Yeah.
Where because like a lot of companies, most of the time you're hiring people who are at the top of their game. They're brilliant. They did really well in school, or they're coming from a company where they did really well, and PwC hires them, and then some of them, they're not performing at the level that you expect. And are there people that you work with, I mean, as the talent gardener, to be able to lift them up rather than terminate them, because that's easy to do, right? But if you spend all that money hiring and identifying that person, bringing them on, thinking they're great, and they probably are, but something's not clicking, are you able to turn that person around?
Well, the blessing of being a CPA and having an accounting background is I'm very numbers driven. So there's very few HR people that go, let me see the data, let me see the spreadsheets. So we would actually analyze the turnover data, say how long are people staying? What years are they typically leaving? What are the reasons for them leaving? And how do we put in some career interventions in time to make sure that they have other options before they leave? And a company that large, I change jobs every 3 years. I worked there 30 years, but I change jobs every 3 years because if you know how to navigate the company and like I discovered and became my trademark, know your strengths and then strategically wish out loud. It's like, I wish I could do that. I wish there was a job that would let me coach all day and get paid for it. Someone's like, actually, Lisa, there is a role like that. We're starting a new Office of Diversity and Inclusion, right? We have a director in New York, a director in Boston. We got to move west of the Mississippi. You're in Dallas. You want to be the next one?
The next one. What year was it?
That's what happened.
That's how I got pulled into diversity because I was doing core HR. And in my spare time, I was organizing the working parents group and the women's group, right?
Right.
The multicultural group. And they're like, we're actually going to formalize that. You're already doing the work. It's like, well, there's a lot of other dimensions of diversity out there. I'll be happy to learn, but, these are the ones I'm comfortable with that I know, but I had to learn, more about veterans, more about the LGBT community, right? All of those other groups that are underrepresented that still need to be included.
What year did you slip into that role? Do you remember?
2000, around 1999, 2000. I became the local Dallas market diversity leader, so I was the third one. The great thing about being new in a role is you're the trailblazer. You can just make it up as you go.
Yeah.
Right? There's no playbook.
There was definitely a period of time where every company had that role, right?
Oh yeah, we were way ahead of all this.
Sounds like PwC was, because I didn't realize there was that type
people
of
weren't even.
role.
Yeah, we were called the Office of Diversity and Work-Life Flexibility back then, which is hilarious because it's come full circle now, right? There's all this focus on mental health and well-being. I was leading, like bringing in the Weight Watchers woman, bringing in the massage therapist. That was all part of my job back then when we were Office of Diversity and Work-Life.
Oh, that's
And then now things have come full circle again, and now well-being is also part
I guess
of it.
the basic human needs don't change a whole lot, right? They still have the same needs, and you want to be able to fill those needs and make them feel like they're being productive yet taking care of themselves.
Right. And people would say, well, how come the people that are assigned to you as a mentee are staying longer than those who are not?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you can't blame the associate. You have to blame the talent gardener.
Mm-hmm.
Who is watching out for them?
exactly
Right? How are they tailoring what they need to bring out their best? And so as I'm coaching leaders who are trying to grow high developing teams, I always ask the question, do you know what they need from you?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not everybody needs the same thing. If you're treating them all with Miracle Grow and somebody needs more iron, you can't blame them for failing.
I think a lot of times, you say, oh, you want to make more money, you want to make partner, and it's like, no, because there's some people that want, they need to spend more time with their family or whatever, and maybe they do need more money as part of it, but that's a great
Right. It's trade-offs, right? It's like they may need flexibility now, but if you give them that flexibility for 3 or 4 years, right, then they'll come back even more harder and more loyal in the long run.
Exactly.
So as I do coaching engagements with a lot of CFOs and CEOs, we talk about how it's cheaper to hire coaches to unleash your bench talent than it is to go out and try to find senior associates
Right.
in this tight labor market, because even coming right out of school, associates are expecting big cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump forward in time. And what happened that made you go out and hang your own shingles?
So like I said, I'm a numbers person, right? So as my 30-year anniversary with PwC was coming up, they had milestone anniversaries. So I'm like, I'm not quitting before 30 because I'm going to get a good prize at 30. I actually got this Tiffany's necklace with 3 round circles and diamonds, one for each decade.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? You get to pick your prize, right? I didn't want a silver platter because then I'd have to polish it, which is more work. Right? And I knew my husband was never going to buy a Tiffany's for me. So I was like, I'm going for that.
That's good.
But after 30 years, we came across 2020. And I said, this is probably the time to double down and launch my business. And what was interesting that got me to think that was in that December, I went and spoke to the TCU Entrepreneurs Club. One of my mentees was a graduating senior. He was the president of the club. He's like, you got to come talk to our club. And he invited me. It was this rainy, stormy day. I'm like, I don't want to drive all the way to TCU in this rain. Who's going to be there? No one's going to be there. I was in a bad mood. And I got there. It was a full room of like
Wow.
30 powered up entrepreneurial students sharing their journey and their visions. And I'm like, wow, Lisa, these are college kids. You've been working in business 30 years and you're too afraid to go launch your own business, right? It was very inspirational
That's all.
to be around those students. I'm like, if they're fearless, why can't you be fearless? All right. So now's your time. Double down. 2020.
2020, that
2020. Yeah.
pandemic? Are
Yeah.
we talking?
So
Okay.
So I left PwC on the 6th, launched the business on the 8th, right? With Weiwei's help, I reached out to her, said, how do I form an LLC? Right? How do I name the company? How do I research to make sure nobody else has the company name? And she had me working with David, and both of them wisely advised me, don't name the company, if you're a services company, after yourself, because people will only want to work with you. I was like, oh, that's true. I can't scale, right? There's only so much time in the day. So I said, well, wait, I'm registering this trademark. Why don't we build the brand and the value of the trademark and make that the company name too? And that has been one of the smartest moves, because you're now in a networking event, they see your name and Wishing Out Loud. They're like, huh? What is that? Tell me more about it.
Right.
Icebreaker, isn't it?
Right? It's
Right.
a great icebreaker. What are you wishing out loud for? It's like, that's my job.
How did you come up with that, by the way?
I've been coaching over the years for many years, especially with individuals who were very frustrated about getting passed over for promotion. They were very humble. They were very hardworking. And this woman said, she goes, I wish I could get this. And I said, time out. How come you feel comfortable wishing out loud with me, but you're not wishing out loud with the people who can actually grant your wish? And she said, I don't want to feel bossy. I don't want to feel demanding. Maybe I don't deserve the promotion, right? And I said, let's think, what would you do if you could wish out loud? Let's start with a blank sheet of paper. And she would wish out loud with me. And then I said, well, who do you know that you've built strong relationships with who'd be excited to grant that wish for you? Right? So wishing out loud is not just, I want to $1 million bucks.
Right.
It's strategically investing in
Right.
those meaningful relationships and networks so that when you do wish out loud, they know who you are, how you lead, what you're all about, and they're thrilled to grant the wish. Right.
That's a
Fantastic.
great
Right?
name. Yeah.
And
Great
now
trademark.
it's registered.
And getting people to be comfortable. It's like, it's not boss you're demanding. Tell me what's on your mind. What's on your wish list? People go, you can have a wish list? I'm like, yeah, don't you? It's like, my
Yeah.
husband's a terrible gift giver. I have to have a wish list. Otherwise I'm going to get crappy gifts. Right?
I've found that, and it's great advice, like women in particular, Asian women even more so, they head down, work hard, we're going to get where we need to be, right? As opposed to asking for things that you want to achieve or that you want to get, or asking the partner that you're working for early on, like, what do I need to do? I want to make partner. What do I need to do? And, I think I deserve a raise because I've been working harder than anyone else. And this guy who's my same year is making more than I am. What do I do? I mean, to get that raise, and ask for things that you want is
Yeah,
important. And I
because you
think
can't
that's what you've
expect them
been
to
saying,
read your
right?
mind, right?
Wish out loud.
Right? You can't expect people to read your
Or
mind.
assume they know what you want.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
would value mean to you, right?
I did exactly that. I found out that I was paid less as a partner than two colleagues, male colleagues. I went to them and yeah, got equal pay.
If you don't, I always say, if you don't ask, you don't get, and the worst you get is a no.
Exactly.
Right.
In your same
You're
place
back to
you
the
are.
same
Right.
place.
And
You're-
so, kind of being bold, if you're not getting a no every day, you're probably not stretching your
Right.
comfort zone,
Mm.
right? Especially as an entrepreneur, right? You have to be a risk taker and you have to put yourself out there. So I'm like, even stretch your comfort zone in little ways, right? If you're in the grocery store and you only have one thing, you can just say, "Oh, I'm in a hurry. Do you mind if I cut in front of you because I'm really busy and I only have one thing?" People just like, "Sure,"
Yeah.
right? Using power and influence, just using the word because, people just move out of your way. It's amazing.
So what you have now, the coaching that you do, what is your elevator pitch? Let's hear that, and so that our audience would know, hey, we need to call Lisa up.
So I love culture change, right? People said, how could you survive doing DEI consulting, speaking, and mentoring, right? Especially in this climate where there seems to be anti-DEI.
Right.
And I said, well, from the very beginning, I always anchored on belonging, because belonging is a human need. It's a basic human need. And I said, so most people didn't even understand what DEI meant. So I always said, let's create an inclusive leadership and belonging culture. And what would inclusive leadership look like? So instead of blaming that flower or veggie for dying, how are we training the talent gardeners to make sure that everyone in that garden is getting the same care and feeding? So I do mentoring groups, I do career coaching groups. I work with CEOs who are working on building out content to engage their high-performing teams. So most teams are in silos and people are getting burned out, especially your middle managers. And so if we can laser focus on the managers and equip them with the leadership skills to empower their teams, that takes some of the burden off of them. Because the managers are like, I don't have time to go to this training.
Right.
I said, would you be excited to go to the training if it takes 6 hours off your week? They're like, whoa, yeah, I'll come for 1 hour to take 6 hours off my week. And teaching them coaching skills. Instead of just delegating skills, teaching them how to coach and empower their staff. So the staff's like, I don't understand, this is complex. What should I do, Susie? Right?
That's
Instead of
great.
you telling them, it's like, what do you think you should do? What have we done in the past? Teaching them coaching skills to bring out that in their teams.
I really like the term that you use, talent gardener, because I garden, and you know that different plants have different needs and they're situated differently, right? And so being a true gardener who nurture plants, you have to tailor your approach to each one
Yeah.
different.
And we have to get the leaders to invest in the infrastructure. So it's like, if I'm doing all this talent gardening and we're growing the next harvest, we better make sure we have trellises of support for them as they grow and go through the hard times. So we're really thinking of that trellis and the entire greenhouse. What's
Right.
the ecosystem
Right.
that they're going to thrive and grow? I love looking at tons of studies. I'm a research nerd. I read every study. And so like the Gallup flourishing study, right? What do humans need to thrive? Right? That's data-based,
Right.
They need relationships. They need to feel valued. They need to feel heard, right? They need to have healthy environments, eat healthy. All those things, we can still apply all of those welcoming wellness workplace habits too.
That's great. Yeah, and I think, like you said, with I think we're in an environment now where DEI has become basically nasty word.
I just
So
And
Yeah.
some of that is on us, the diverse community, because we haven't made, white people or white males in particular feel like they're welcome or that they're part of that.
It should
But
be
the whole,
everyone.
they're inclusion, right? It's everybody at the table, not, oh, we the diverse community, we need to be promoted and everything. It's like, no, all of us, and white males, white people are all part of that equation. And so I think that all of us have to do a better job particularly those involved in the DEI movement and efforts, do a better job of explaining that and making sure that everybody feels included, and that you're not, oh, well, if they get promoted, then I can't, I'm left out and I won't get promoted. And that's where I think there's, you start rubbing people the wrong way.
Yeah.
And
In the
so I
spirit of
love your
inclusion,
philosophy.
right? In the spirit of inclusion, I'm like, why are we creating separate groups if we're trying to promote inclusion? How can we just embed inclusive leadership skills? Because everyone wants to be a good leader.
Right.
So all of the employee resource groups are great for employee engagement, but you shouldn't have to be something to belong. Right. So
Right.
I always said you need to
That's
over index on your welcome. So if you're a part of the women's network, you should go out of your way to say we welcome learners, supporters, and allies. Right. You might not be an ally yet until you consistently show up and prove it to me, but you could be a learner or supporter. Right. And I feel like a lot of people, that's implied, and they don't overextend that welcome.
Yeah. Well, in most of us, I mean, coming from the generation that we do, right, being a little on the older side, we all had white male mentors, right? I mean, because there just weren't females in the positions that could, be our mentors. And so I definitely had lots of male mentors that helped me and helped me navigate the way through my career. And so I think, absolutely important to make everybody feel included in that.
Yeah. And in the workplace, I think some of my most memorable mentors were men who were the opposite of me. Right. I had women mentors, but they tended to be the ones that handed me the Kleenex and said, come in my office, you can cry. Right. But the other ones would be like, dust yourself off. You're seeing this from the wrong perspective. And here's what you need to do. Get out there. Right.
Well, the guy that said, that your daughter should be the top of your schedule, that's just, I mean, that blew me away. I mean, to have someone like that to make sure that you
keep what matters.
Right, exactly. That's
right. Keeps what matters most important. And when I'm coaching entrepreneurs, we were talking about this earlier, I have to ask them, what's enough for you? Because they launch their vision of their company and they get excited, and then they lose sight of that 5 years in when they're burning out. It's like, if you're not anchored on the why and what you're doing it for and benchmarking it to your own goals, you could be chasing other stuff and spending money where it doesn't really make sense, especially in the areas of AI, right? You can work smarter, not harder.
Okay. We're about 5 minutes and stuff. So we both have daughters, and my daughter's in college. Weiwei's daughter is a little older, but what is something that we could tell them, impactful as they're going into starting their careers and early on in their careers? What are some things that you would advise?
I drilled a lot of the sayings into my daughter's head, even from when she was little. Like every day we'd say, this is a great day. And when her friends would sleep over, they'd be like, how do you know? It's like, because I said so. We spoke it. We wished out loud. Today is going to be a great day. Right. But it's that mindset. Right. And then also building relationships. She learned early on. Right. Mom and dad aren't going to be here forever. You're going to have to start to build relationships. And then when she quickly realized, when you make friends with your teachers, if your grades are on the bubble, that helps your GPA too. Right. But it's all about relationships. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't realize that. Right. Being intentional. So I always say, be bold when managing your moments. Right. It's not the quantity of time, it's the quality of the time that you spend with someone. Right. So manage your moments, be kind to yourself as well as others. I think that's the harder message for some people who are hardwired to be kind to others. They forget to extend that same grace to themselves.
This is great. Yeah.
Right. And then lastly, I always tell her to be brave and keep wishing out loud. And the more powerful wishes are when you wish out loud on behalf of others.
So many good things to take away from this.
That's right.
Even for us older women.
You get caught
think
in
we
the,
can
in the
benefit.
day or the moment, and I think that's a great way to start the day, kind of reset that, rather than just moving to the next calendared event, is, taking the time and the to say, okay, this is a great day. I love.
Yeah,
I love
well,
that.
a lot of people approach the very beginning of the day as dread, right? Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. But you know, the way you
Every day we
approach it,
wake up is a great day.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely.
and that's particularly true, you know, because you just don't know how many of those days you have, right? And we're looking at the tragedy from the hill country, and you know, it's like it really puts it in perspective of
Right.
trying to realize that this is a great day, make it a great day, and don't waste it on things that are causing you stress or, you know, the negative energy things. I love that. So I feel like I almost have to pay you because we've gone through this coaching session here.
Yes, it felt like I personally definitely have benefited from
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Tons of
definitely. I
takeaways.
know.
Well,
So-
thank you for having me.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for your support and reminding me the importance of registering trademarks and the things that work in our systems. I mean, that was not even on my radar
on the radar, right? So-
until she said, if that's resonating with people, you should trademark it. I said, I don't know how to do that. She's like, we got
we
you.
can help you. Do you have one final thought that we're going to leave everybody with?
I would say in this time where there's a lot of people just being so divisive and they're like, what can I do? There's a lot of people walking around with heavy hearts. I just ask people to be curious and be kind, right? When someone reacts in a negative way to you, right, take a step back, take a deep breath, be curious and say, I wonder who hurt them. I wonder who put that hole in their heart, and what's one small thing I could do to potentially help close that hole.
Right.
Oh.
All right. With that, we're going to say it's a wrap for our latest episode of Rockstar Launcher, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.